All right, listen up. This is your first briefing, so I want you to forget everything you think you know. We're here to talk about one thing and one thing only: deception. Your ability to see through all the noise, to see past the performance. Well, that's the only thing that's going to keep you effective out in the field. Okay, let's get into it.
You know, the very first thing you'll learn out here is that everybody wears a mask. Everyone has a story they are desperate for you to believe. But your job isn't to listen to that story. It's to find the cracks in the mask. And that brings us to the first and most important rule. You read the body. A subject's words, that's just a story they've rehearsed, a script they've chosen for you. It's nothing more than a distraction. The truth is in their involuntary reactions. Now, most people are completely blind to this. They hear the words, they see the smile, and they just accept the whole performance at face value. But you're not most people, right? An investigator's job is to ignore the stage play completely and watch what's happening backstage. So let's move on to our first actionable protocol. This isn't about what a subject says to you, it's about what they don't say. It's all about the empty space in their story. Look, when a subject puts together a lie, they're basically building a story around the truth. But they will subconsciously, almost instinctively, steer clear of the most dangerous parts. You know, the parts where the lie is the thinnest. That's silence. That's where you dig. Take a look at this case study. Simple question. Where were you and Rohan last night? And the subject gives you this whole detailed story about car trouble and a dead phone. Now, a rookie hears the alibi. But you hear the silence. They never once mentioned Rohan. The entire narrative was deliberately shifted onto the car, onto the phone, anything but him. The name they skipped, that's your leading. Here's another form of omission for you. A gap in the timeline. Your subject will walk you through their night almost minute by minute. 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and then suddenly they jump straight to midnight. It's like they built a bridge right over the most critical part of the evening. So, and this is crucial, you do not let that go. You stop them right there. You hold their eye contact and you ask them directly, calmly, you skipped from 8 to midnight. Where are the missing 3 hours? And then you just watch. Don't even listen to the excuse, just watch their reaction. All right, let's get into Protocol 2, microexpression analysis. This builds on everything we've just talked about. A subject can control their words, sure. They can rehearse their story, but what they can't control are the 43 muscles in their face. Not all the time. For just a fraction of a second, the truth always flickers across. Most people miss these tells. They're just too fast, way too subtle. But a trained observer knows that split-second flicker is pure, unfiltered data. It's the real emotion right before the performance kicks back in. So take this little cheat sheet here. Let's say you tell a subject about a colleague's success. They'll smile, they'll say, "Oh, congratulations." But for less than a 25th of a second, you might see their jawline tighten or their eyes narrow just a little. See, the smile is for you. The microexpression, that's the truth. And that's envy. That's resentment. And here's how you can force it out. We call it the shock word test. In the middle of a perfectly calm conversation, you just drop a bomb. Something simple, like, "I know what you were really doing." Then you watch. That first flicker of emotion on their face, fear, anger, surprise, that is your data. Everything that comes after it, the denial, the laughter, the excuses, that's all just noise. Okay, on to our final protocol, advanced verification. So far, we've covered passive observation. Now, we're going to move to active testing. These are techniques to verify statements and expose the true character hiding behind the mask. This one's called the double questioning technique. It's simple. First, you ask a basic question you already know the answer to. So, you drive a blue sedan, right? That sets their baseline for honesty. It'll be smooth, immediate. Then, you ask the question you're really interested in. Any change from that baseline, a little hesitation, some evasion, a shift in that body language, that's your red flag. And here's a final field test for you, to see through that good guy mask. Because some subjects, they're masters of manipulation. So to test their integrity, first, just watch how they handle their own things, their keys, their phone. Notice the level of care. Then, you hand them some low-value agency item to hold, maybe a pen or a folder. If they treat your property with less care than their own, that carelessness tells you everything you need to know. It's a litmus test for character. It reveals a fundamental lack of respect, and it shows you the mask for exactly what it is.
Okay, that concludes the technical part of this briefing. But I gotta tell you, the most important tool you have isn't a technique, it's your mindset.
To see the truth, you have to operate without emotion. Sympathy, anger, even your own ego, they will cloud your judgment. You are an observer, a collector of data. Your greatest asset is a cold, analytical mind. Emotion is a liability. Briefing's over? Get to work.